right.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
just let me know if this sounds weird. I can go get in the car or whatever. Just let me know.
Okay, cool. No, no, I think it sounds good. So Chad Warren, welcome to the 46th episode of the Mental Breakthrough. Yeah, I just actually had one last night, and as I'm doing these podcasts, I've realized something. I mentioned it in the short little audio I sent you on X, and I did mention it in my podcast yesterday, so I don't want to completely. It's this concept that I'm doing or recognizing. I've always been a fan of the secret, the law of attraction, that like a couple decades ago, but there's something I didn't really like about it, and it was the passive nature of like expecting things to happen just because we think of it. And I realized that's what I'm doing with these podcasts and social media is it's an active way to call out to the universe. And I feel that's how you came about. I don't, I admit sometimes I follow
Right.
people that I don't know that well, but maybe I started listening to one of your things and I saw you give a shout out to me. And that
I'm
was
in a
after.
synchronicity zone. I don't mean to interrupt, but I
No.
feel like I'm in a synchronicity zone right now too, starting
Oh,
with
yeah.
my relationship with End of Days Radio that kind of led me to you.
Okay. Okay. So yeah. There it is. Uh. So wait, what was that? End of Days Radio?
Yeah, basically, I don't really enjoy the truther, alt media content like I used to.
Mhm.
But there's one show I really do care about, and it's called End of Days Radio, and they are live at 3 p.m. Central. It's out of Seattle. Daniel does it. But uh, the reason I like that and how that led me to here, I think, is that my complaint, and this is kind of like my theme of what I'm thinking about for the show and all that. I'm just walking away from this beeping. This car alarm's getting weird up here. But he has had a show for a long time and he has guests. But what's really amazing is that he has a regular panel of guests. And so it's just more like, hey, we're real people. And, that's why I was digging listening to your episode with John, as I think that we're in that next level of like, hey, this is just normal reality now. So,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody has that manifestation mindset as our kind of new base normal.
Hell yeah. No, that's exactly. Yeah, that's definitely where I see in a way social media going. And it's like when you post now, it's we don't know who are bots or who's using AI to generate comments, and it's this is a way, and especially for me, I kind of want to know, yeah, where you're at. So I can give you more details about me, but since it's those come up more often since it's my podcast, I want to focus more on exactly you because I know you're in like national parks. I saw you from an RV doing some cool stuff. Like, give me a little bit of background, just like yeah, where are you physically right now, and last week are you're on the move, kind of going different places.
Yeah, I'm in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and that's where I grew up. And I've been living about an hour away in the capital city of Arkansas, which is Little Rock. And that's because I moved there with my wife at the time. I have a 14-year-old son and I'm divorced. But I've just decided to go ahead and move over here to Hot Springs because it's just a way cooler vibe. It's like a poor man's New Orleans here. And I thought about that because I have some local friends, John and Jackie, that John is a street musician and I met them through my best friend Colin, and he is a fan of Owen Benjamin. I don't know if you've heard; they call themselves Bears and all that kind of stuff, and they have a pretty thriving, legitimate alternative community in the real world.
Yeah.
So, just these kind of things are starting to gather moss, and I've just been really jaded about feeling that I got sucked into all this conspiracy crap, negative vortex. And it's like, okay, are we going to do anything, or are we just completely delusional?
Mm-hmm.
But I feel positive that a lot of things are aligning,
Yeah.
and that I am getting what I'm asking for. And now I better be ready to deal with it. So.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I feel the same way. I do have a positive outlook of just that, but we do need to be some part of it. It's not going to be a passive movement of whatever it is, truth or just, I feel like everyone is actually already, or I feel like people are getting on the same page, even without being directly. I feel like people are coming to their own, and that's what it has to be, right? I mean, I think we do need to kind of just come like me and you right here. I feel like that's why I said I just kind of feel like that is not some sort of too much voodoo. I like spirituality and stuff, but it's not like too much. There's a spiritual aspect to it to an extent, but there's also just a proactive, like, okay, let's kind of get out there. Let's see some real people, make some real connections, because um the old social media style, I mean, even Facebook, I mean, I don't know that many people on X, very few people that are people that I know in the real world, but then so many of the
Right.
people on Facebook, which is where the real people were that I knew, but even that now it's just
Right.
I feel disconnected on that platform now, and it's just maybe it's just been up for too long, and it always worked well for me. I stayed in contact with people, and I still do, and I'll still use it, but there is this other yeah, there's a need to.
Well, all of this is very weird that we take it for granted that we're androids.
Yeah,
That so it's all about we're having to figure out how are we going to deal with this as this keeps going and it's going.
absolutely, yeah,
But yeah, did you? I just want to make sure. Did you want me to kind of introduce myself a little bit more at this point?
yeah,
Just want to make
yeah,
sure I do it.
because I mean, at like towards the end, yeah, if you've got any questions about me, we can go because yeah, I that was kind of one of the things I mentioned too, is just that sometimes sometimes it takes putting our thoughts into words and then to kind of formulate some ideas. So yeah, tell
Thanks,
me,
Doc.
some background on who you are and what you're doing, because I kind of see what you're trying to do. Yeah, let me
You
know.
what would you want me to call you, Doctor Christopher? Christopher, what do you want me to call you?
CD, just CD. Yeah, I am
CD.
a doctor of school. I got it 1 year ago. I mean, my degree in psychology. I did it online, and I'm not an active psychologist. I don't actually know if I ever will. I mean, to get a license in psychology is, another step, and I'm not that interested. It is something that I could do, but yeah, just CD is good. CD. Yeah, Christopher David's my name. Out here in Thailand, the name Chris is pronounced, it sounds like clit. Clit is so as I was teaching out here, I taught at the university and in an elementary school, and I quickly just CD was a good name, so it kind of stuck. So, but yeah,
I like it. I saw that in my head, CD like that. I just started digging CDs instead of using the phone. So
yeah,
that's how
yeah,
I thought it.
yeah, yeah.
Uh, well, CD, let's start with how I found you,
Okay.
which I don't recall exactly, but I maybe I was promoting this cooperative community idea with some hashtags,
Uh-huh.
and I think that I saw you like that, and then I saw that you had a podcast, and so I said, hey, let me check that out, and that is something that I have enjoyed and done well and been noticed just as a fan, marketing and advertising these podcasts. I remember there was a woman, Tracy Twyman, who was a big deal in the occult circles, and she appreciated me putting those out there and using them herself. But yeah, so I listened to a couple episodes of your show, and then that's going to tie into what I'm trying to do with the group. Is something that I have noticed now. Do you feel the same way, CD? Isn't it hard to it's not hard to absorb the content of the shows. That's pretty effortless. But in terms of like to make notes or to make shorts or to explain to somebody else what you got out of an hour or two or however, you know what I mean? So I'm like, I think that is a hard thing to do, but I think it has a value, and I want to help demonstrate, that we all have something to give to this community. So I would like to be able to help mobilize the fellow audience members of these shows, so we don't all have to feel like, oh, I have to be this expert. You know, we just have to be ourselves and figure out how to deal with that and step up.
Yeah, that's pretty much in line. Yeah, I kind of feel similar thoughts as that. Yeah, yeah. I like it actually came out of when I was doing the research for my doctoral studies. I had to do interviews, it's qualitative research on the experience of death, actually, and talking to people who experienced the death of a loved one, and I'd interview them, and then I had to, like, you know, uh, organize that as data. So I was listening to myself interview these people over and over, and I realized how terrible I did on interviewing, and like not letting people speak sometimes, or jumping in too soon. I didn't give them enough time to answer. I'd feel like they didn't understand the question, and then but then when I listened to the interview, I was like, oh no, I think they understood. They were just taking a while to formulate their thoughts. I usually just kind of start speaking. If somebody asks a question, I start speaking before I don't really gather my thoughts. So sometimes I'm impatient and or something. So it made me realize, like, oh wow, I actually had a beautiful connection with this person, but I was so adamant on collecting my data to do my research that I kind of missed this personal connection. That wow, this person was really opening
Right.
up to me about a very serious time in their life, and I wasn't in tune at all. I wasn't in tune with them. So it's kind of, it made me want to, wow. And I'm living out here in Thailand, so I'm away. My only communication with non-native English speakers are going to be online, and that was the first time I had
Right.
contact with a lot of native English speakers for a long time. So it completely made me real. So that's how that whole academic process, real structured, kind of made me realize how I've been disconnected to this real human relationship and communication. But it opened my eyes to that, because I was there seeing it. To just add on to that, what I actually really do like creating my own clips, because that forces me to watch, and re-listen to what I said, and then kind of try to improve my
Well, that's great because I'm sorry, keep
no,
going.
no, no, yeah, yeah, yeah,
Just that we sure need just as much discipline as we are being ourselves and free, as is popular in this kind of free thought community. So having those academic skills is a real plus. That is one of the things I like about. You ever heard of that Jason Bashir's Archaics?
that sounds
And he
familiar, but
talks
I'm not
about,
sure.
he's a newer guy on the scene. I saw him down in Houston, but he was one of those people I latched on to go, hey, now I like what he's doing, because he was a guy that was in prison for a long time, and he became a serious, self-taught learner, and he has his own idea of this altered chronology.
Yeah, okay. I saw him on
And
Alpha
it,
Vedic or
it
something. Alpha Vedic. I saw him on Alpha Vedic. Yeah, I remember him.
Alpha Vedic,
I think it's
hadn't heard
Alpha
of that
Vedic.
one yet. Sounds cool.
Yeah, yeah. Jason Bashir was on that. I knew I heard that name. Yeah, yeah. What you're saying. Yeah. Go ahead though. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, I think a realistic goal that maybe we as a community could have is like, hey, I'm 47. My son's 14. I'd like to, by the time I die, feel that we put up some stiff competition to the academic community,
Hmm.
that we're able to, like, you teach martial arts. I mean, my God, can you imagine what we could do if we had different here? We learned auto mechanics here. We learned public speaking. I think that we are in a hardcore Renaissance time, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm ready to get to the excited part of, I think everything serves its purpose, and the bad taste in my mouth about the negative of all the conspiracy paranoia stuff,
Hmm.
and the political aspect of that, which I sure would like to. I just would like, as another goal, we've got this election coming up, which I don't care anything about. So I would like to find all the people that share my values there, and try to do our own thing, and just demonstrate something that is alternative to that. It doesn't have to be
Yeah,
my deal. Just
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely it's gonna be a shit show for sure on so many levels, but most of the levels are just that's what it is. It's a distraction to at the very least. What's going to really be going on during all the the pointing out all this shit, and then look here, look here, look here, look here, and then something else is going on, and then but yeah, if we can present something, I would love to do, yeah, just present a whole different thread on on ideas. I mean, that's what, and it's nice too. I'm not, I mean, yeah, I'm an American. I'm from California, Northern California, smaller
okay.
town where I went to high school in Orville, and then, moved down about 10 years in Sacramento, the capital, but not really one of the major cities when you think of California. And, um, and then I came out here about a little more than 10 years ago. So actually, I've lived in Thailand longer than any one city I lived in, America. And,
That
and,
sure
and
sounds exciting. I have a good friend that lives in the Philippines, always trying to get me to come down there.
oh, okay. My brother actually lives there. Yeah, um yeah, he was in the military and then he retired, but he's
Exactly.
got a family in the Philippines. And yeah, so I mean, yeah, I'm kind of out of I'm physically out of all like whatever goes on, it's really not going to affect me. Although, America
Right.
obviously I mean, what happens in America does affect the world on a lot of levels. We're pretty insulated in Thailand uh I feel like
Don't you feel like there's a high chance America could be a big target in all this? That you might truly be safer in Asia?
absolutely. I actually did even 10 years ago when I came out. I actually really felt Thailand's an amazing place. Like it is the one it seems like it's a nice location because it doesn't really border the South China Sea where that there is possible, Taiwan, all that stuff. Philippines is kind of in the middle. They've got disputed waters. Thailand's in the middle of like Myanmar, which is there's complete civil unrest, but there's an easy access to the uh Indian Ocean. The trade routes that go south of Thailand go through Malaysia, Strait of Malacca. Not it's like it's kind of out. It's in the middle of where there could be things, Myanmar, India, China, Philippines, Taiwan, but it's kind of secluded, and it's always been that way. It's the only Southeast Asian that wasn't colonized. They had the English to the west and the French to the east, and they were kind of acted as a buffer zone that different colonial powers didn't invade. They did have to secede some of their land. Laos used to be part of Thailand. They had to kind of give that over to the French because of this dispute, but they recognized like that's probably a good idea to keep our sovereignty. One of their kings, King Rama V, which they're still in that same bloodline. They have a constitutional monarchy. They are closely aligned with the West on a lot of issues, but they also have a lot of trade with China, obviously being locally here, but they've always managed to in fact, they actually had to declare war on America during World War II because Japan invaded northern Thailand just to build the railway through Myanmar to get to the Indian Ocean. And but they were really good with they didn't want to declare war. They're not really a powerful nation militarily, so they kind of had to surrender to Japan. But that's kind of not. It wasn't really. It was just using a small area, and whoever was working in the embassy had to declare war against America just because they were under control of the Japanese
That's a
government. But
formality.
they were able to put that paper down low enough that it didn't officially get. They just kind of were able to manage that situation without ever getting involved. Um,
Dude, that was an amazing crash course in history and geography of the area because I suck at the geography. That's great, man.
yeah. Okay. Good. Yeah. Yeah. No, I learned a lot. Of course, being over here, and my wife is Thai, so my son is Thai citizen, and then he's 4, so I'm like kind of new father. We're gonna do homeschooling. We're doing homeschooling was our plan to come here even before all the COVID bullshit. We were already on here. I was living before in Phuket, which is a tourist island, which more population, a lot of tourists, and more hustle bustle and stuff. And we got the idea of coming up here and living off the land, homeschooling our son, which wasn't born yet, although she did lose a couple kids before, when we were kind of more stressed out working and stuff. And so we were able to do a 5 year work for 5 years, come up here and buy land outright, so we don't have any mortgage or anything. We were living in a tent for a while,
Wow.
and then kind of just built our home. My source of income is teaching English online. My students are Chinese students who, at first I was working for a company, but then those companies kind of shut down, but luckily I had connection with some of the parents and stuff, and they wanted to continue learning with me. So that's kind of my gig. So I'm able to live off the land. I don't have to leave, able to make enough money here, which is very little. The cost of living is cheap out here, and we've already bought our land and built small little modest home. Um so yeah, so it's really
Man, I
cool.
get the feeling that you are very resourceful and adaptable. And while you may have had this plan for a long time, I feel like you put this together in a recent short amount of time as well.
Yeah, it is. It's been in the making to an extent. Yeah, my wife and I talked. We weren't married yet at that time, but I met her like within 6 months of coming over here. So we've, been together for 10 years. I've been here total 11 years. So around that April, I guess, would be when I'm here 11 years. So yeah, we've been together 10 years. And we talked about it. And when we first met, we were doing a lot of traveling because we were both working and had a little extra money, and just spending what we had, traveling, enjoying life. And that's when we realized, like, we don't really like being in this area. It's too much hustle bustle. And we came in this northern region of Chiang Mai, where it's just like it's really relaxed, peaceful. It's in the mountains, and we're like, wow, that'd be cool to live here. And it was just kind of a dream at first, and then we just kind of talked a lot together and kept having this conversation, and it just became a reality because uh we just saw the opportune moment. She was There's a shift and she was managing a hotel, and there's a shift in ownership. We could see, okay, that because she was making really good money, but okay, that's looks like that's dying down. That opportunity is dying down, and we actually had collected enough money, which is about $30,000, to that's you can buy land and everything for like a nice chunk of land. It's an acre and a
Wow.
half on the river. Like it's beautiful. Yeah.
Sounds amazing. Let's see. So I could kind of back up in time. A lot's been going on with me recently, more than normal. So I'm moving here, and then just a week or so ago, yeah, I camp a lot in the Washita National Forest, which is in between here and Little Rock, and I've been doing that for years now. And that started because I had a roommate, and he I saw his behavior. He was a good person. He's a good person, but well, just to be honest, was dealing small amounts of weed, that kind of thing. So I saw that he would be mean to some of his friends when he was put in a corner. I think he felt really trapped in that whole, everybody comes to his house, in his situation, and he would take that out on other people. And he
Yeah.
tried to get in some argument about Trump or something one day, and I'm like, I don't care anything about it. You're obviously just trying to push my buttons. And I ended up pushing him up against the wall and letting him know, dude, I fucking hate this shit where people think I'm this pussy because I'm a nice guy. You shouldn't treat anybody like this. And I just want to let you know that if I didn't want to be a nice guy, it would be a problem for both of us. And I decided to leave at that point and go live in the woods. And so that has all of its problems, of course, as much as the positives. But I'm very glad that I did that, and have been able to you know see the better side of this weird homeless experience that I've had. I've also inherited money, and that's connected with all that. And we get into that, but just the other a week ago, I was sitting at my campsite. I'm watching a video. I'm sitting in my car. I'm watching a YouTube video like we're doing right now, and then all of a sudden, boom, swarm. There's a state trooper. There's a sheriff. I see a park ranger, and they're like, yeah, we're looking. They're got a description of a guy in a white car was in a fight. And put your hands on the wheel. I saw him reaching for something. And so, unfortunately, I didn't deal with that as far as how, your rights and the laws and I shouldn't have opened the door. I should have been like, am I being detained for a crime, etc. But because of the violence and intensity of it, I thought it would be smart to just play, help out and be cooperative. And I opened the door and he said, I smell weed. And then they ended up searching and finding, and they charged me with under 4 ounces of cannabis. Anyway, so then that connects with Clint Eastwood, Third World Assassin, who is this guy that is on that guest panel of In Today's Radio I mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
And he's new to their past few months, I think. But he really focuses on the Constitution and his own personal experience of growing up abused by his father and rough type of situation and going into court for weed and stuff like that when he was 15. And so I'm like, okay, I think this is one of those magical miracle moments of you've been wanting something for real to happen with all this truth philosophy you've absorbed. So here's your chance, because maybe I could ask for money for this $2,500. I've went to a lawyer and they said that's how much it would be, but really I probably can't. And so I'm just going through that process of looking into the reality of representing myself possibly in this
Okay.
misdemeanor criminal offense. So again, that's one of those things of like, wow, this is what I'm talking about. Though that crew over there, EODR as I call it, in today's radio, it's like, okay, I feel like we're really connected to each other like real friends, even though we're like we are right now. I feel good about this. So that was that, and then I could talk about how a goal that I have that don't know how seriously I'm really working towards that, but I would like to be able to get into tourism and to help people explore all this amazing nature that's around
Yeah.
here. And I just applied today at this rock shop, a real nice gift shop in town that has all these crystals and all that stuff that we're famous for. And then the guy also evidently owns a travel agency. So maybe there's some opportunity to get serious about the tourism industry here. And then what is going on with your land? What kind of plans? It seems like you have some idea for some kind of tourism or some kind of
Yeah.
organized way people come out there.
What I want to do, like I said, right now with homeschooling my son, and if of course if he wants to go to school at some point, he might, but I think for those early years it's best, and we've got a really good homeschool community and stuff. So right now the focus is developing our land, and he's going to be involved. It's cool out here with the education system that they're pretty lenient on. There is a rigmarole with paperwork and stuff to make sure you meet certain criteria, but you can go different routes. So we can use like agriculture as part of the thing, or we're going to raise turtles and stuff, and that can be the project that you learn from and apply it. So yeah, I have this date. It's 2040. I like the number. It's a cool number, and that would be, basically when my son is 20 years old. And I would actually like to have another child, so I might have, if we do, we're actually kind of working on it. It hasn't come up yet. I think I'm doing it right. But so then that kid would actually be less than 18, but they'd be old. I mean, I've got about 4 years to have another kid. Maybe my wife's 36. Yeah, we kind of
Okay.
arbitrary number. 40 seems like a good number to have a kid before 40 for a woman, maybe.
That's funny because I think that's that number Jason talks about where he predicts that this Phoenix event is to occur. That what they thought was the 2012 is 2040 because in the something about the years that they mistook days for years, or something like that. But
Yeah.
that his
I,
supposedly correct formulation.
there's some synchronicity there. Yeah, I actually didn't hear that. Yeah, for me yeah, I actually did some. Yeah, I was just calculating numbers and stuff like that. 2040 just it stands out. I don't know, just the 40 is double 20. I don't know. It to me it just has a ring, and it
I
gives
like
me
it.
enough time. And that's the year that I'll be 59 that year actually. But then uh that basically that and in here in Chiang Mai, northern Thailand, we have amazing. The best time to come here would be from like December 1st to January 31st. It's because it's always hot here. Normally it'd be too hot. That because of the winter, it cools down at night, but it's just like a nice cool. You can wear a jacket. Nobody has
Oh
heaters.
yeah.
It's not like it doesn't get cold ever. It's never freezing. There's no
Okay.
snow anywhere in
Right.
Thailand. So our winter is the best, and it's cool. And there's no mosquitoes because it's cool, and it doesn't rain. We get our rain actually in the summer. So our hottest season is actually right about now, March and April, because it's dry. Once it starts raining,
Hmm.
it's hot, but every time it gets too hot, the rain starts. So our like August,
Fascinating. Because it's real
August is just
humid
really
here in the
wet.
summer.
What?
Yeah, that's interesting. Just that here it gets humid in the summer. It'll be nice until about April something, and then the freaking mosquitoes will be out.
Okay, yeah, 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 and we get. I mean, I'd say even now mosquitoes are starting to come, but it's actually really dry. I mean, it's dry for us, dry in the sense that it doesn't rain. I guess we still are probably humidity wise, it's probably still humid compared to most places in America. But so uh,
Cool.
but yeah,
I
so
wish I had been able to homeschool
yeah,
with my son. I'm divorced, and I certainly didn't want to be divorced. My
yeah,
ex cheated on me with her high school sweetheart and all that stuff. We're actually on good terms now. But
yeah.
yeah, it is unfortunate that I was not able to do that. It's just like, hey, they got this thing called K through 12.com. You got a public education teacher, and they were having that. But my wife, whomever, her folks or whomever, were having none of it.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah, I
happy
mean,
for you that you're married and able to do that.
yeah, no, yeah, I'm glad, I had some. And yeah, and I mentioned before, I think, or you mentioned, I mean, in my 20s, into drugs and not having wholesome relationships really but at the same time, now I could easily knock a girl up. I wasn't wrapping up. So I mean, it could have happened. I'm grateful that I'm I started a family later. That could have kicked me in gear if something would have happened. It could have kicked me into gear. I look at but I look at wow, there was definitely some toxic relationships that could have just turned out terrible. I mean, my life could be different. I would have never got out of America. I would have got stuck down. I do believe I would have tried my best to be a good father, but if it wasn't in a healthy relationship, that it could have been bad. So I'm very thankful for that I was more mature and coming out here to and and Thai culture kind of it's just it actually is more me. I feel more at home here. Like it's just it's not like I hate America. I have I think America is great on a lot of levels. Shit's definitely going down now. I feel like there's an attack on whatever was kind of made it
I
good.
probably would be somewhere else if I didn't have my kid here, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. It would be hard to leave that. So I definitely found the place where this is just to me, I actually feel more. I joked about it before. People are, why do you go to Thailand? I said, I like to be free. And there's some things like because it is a constitutional monarchy, they still have that majesté. I don't know that you can't defame the royal family. So there's you don't have free speech over there. But I'm just like, why would I want to say anything bad about it? It's like
Right,
so there
right.
are some
It's all
laws that
relative. For
you could pinpoint on, oh, you're not free over there. You can't, you're not allowed to say something against the royal family or something. But I actually feel free. I feel like it's a really kind of libertarian attitude. I mean, there's some corruption on like low levels, so you might have to pay off a police officer, agent of some small community, or to do something if you want. I mean, I'm not really doing that. Like sometimes if you want to build or do stuff, but you might have to do something like that. If you want to run a business, you might have to. pay a low level thing just to get something taken care of, but it's actually all real localized and pretty actually pretty free. Like I really feel free here, like to do to
I
just kind
bet.
of and to like build. No, you don't need permits, which has its downfalls because if anything goes wrong, you can't really hold anybody accountable for it. But like the electricity, the water, the land, you just hook it up yourself and you're responsible for it. Or you can pay a local
Wow.
person to do it. Like my electricity, they just connect it to the wires. I mean, we have electricity from the city, but you don't need to hire somebody that actually works for the electric company to connect it. So it's kind of weird. You just do it, and if somebody die,
Yeah, my friend John's getting me all excited about the downstairs neighbors got a bar going, and it wasn't that long ago they were just shooting the shit about it in a bar, uh, and like he was saying kind of the same thing of like, yeah, it's awesome, and there's its pitfalls too,
yeah,
of it as far as being a foreigner and having a business in that environment or something.
yeah,
Well, and then like 20 years ago, I moved out to Seattle with some friends, and I am glad that I did move back here. So, Arkansas is not as developed, and like if you were trying to do any kind of industry film or whatever you're doing like that, but I think it is a lot more free to do that. And again, that's why I'm glad that I moved back here to Hot Springs. I have a friend I went to school with, Will, and he's the bartender over at the Malco Lounge. And that's an old awesome movie theater, like where I saw Ghostbusters. It's good, but now it's a performance stage for Maxwell Blade. He's a stage magician. So there's a lot of, it's kind of a
yeah.
weirdo,
It
cool,
looks cool in the
cool,
background. A
little
little
arty zone.
yeah. So
Yeah,
yeah, keep
this is a cool bar called Maxine's.
you're one. Yeah, I didn't catch that. When you moved, you're permanently in a camper, or what do you don't have you're not
Oh, I
camping,
just
or
camp
do
out
you
of a
have a
tent.
home?
I do not have a home. I do
Okay,
not have a
cool,
home.
nice.
And like I said, that started a number of years ago when I had a roommate
Yeah, okay,
and had to leave, like I told you. And so, yeah, I've just gone to behavior issues. Really, my whole life has just been very awkward. But I thought I would have, be in such a good position having all these things going for me. And it has definitely not turned out that way. I think I just arrested development from having that money and smoking weed all the time and, wanting to do movies and not having any discipline to really do that kind of a thing. And so, I've at least processed that, at least had a lot of self awareness. It sucks that that hasn't really translated into, achieving stuff what I would like to do, but I feel pretty good about how things are going for the moment. And that's one of the reasons why I moved over here is just to have more friends that, could support each other.
yeah,
And I went to a bonfire with some friends, and I'd been to a couple of them. And again, that was this John and Jackie that were from that Beartaria group, and my friend Colin got real big into that, and I was worried because it seemed kind of cultish, and I wasn't a big Owen Benjamin fan. But those people, when they have these gatherings, it made a real good impression on me. Uh, that they were legitimate about having an intentional community. They're
yeah,
kind of all moving out, doing that thing. So anyway, just
yeah,
excited
yeah.
about that.
Yeah, that's kind of yeah. Yeah, to add on to that, yeah, because you said what I'm doing here. So like, I like that. We have access to digital communication, which is obviously going to be easier to reach across large spaces in time. But my plan is actually to, yeah, 2040 is that's when I want to go out. I actually don't want to be online anymore. And then, but hopefully by that time, and so I've got
Interesting.
16 years to build a community, and I want to invite everybody out here basically from December 1st to January 31st, whatever connections I make in the next 16 years, it would be an annual thing, and it's not like come for a couple days during that time or stay the whole time. Just have a place just to kind of shoot the shit with people and different people. So I'll have childhood friends from when I was in martial arts, friends that since I've been an English teacher here, I was working at brick and mortar schools for a while, and So I've made different groups of friends, and then now in this last part of my life, I'm going to make digital friends. So all those groups of people, I want to open it up, and it'll be kind of like an annual thing. In Thailand, so it's so the cost of living is so cheap. If anybody has, and that'll be more for my age, that's kind of retirement age, that it's actually would be, you could actually save money if you had any sort of income coming in. You'd actually be able to save money because you buy your ticket and then there's no expenses when you're over here, or something that it would
Hmm.
kind of cross cancel, and people could come here if they wanted to, stay for a
You
long
mean like,
time. But there's
are you
also lots of
talking in
stuff to
terms
do.
of comparing it to a vacation? What are you talking about when you're talking about the money?
Yeah, well, no, like cost of living, like let's say your cost of living for 2 months would in America would probably be more expensive
Oh,
than basically the plane ticket out here. I mean, could be, I
I
mean,
hear you.
and
It's both. It's an
because
adventure trip and it's cheaper.
yes, like I'll give you an example. What I did in university one time, I backpacked in India for cheaper than it would have cost to stay in Sacramento, because of apartments. Even I was living with like four people, paying
Wow.
400 by
Right,
or $400 a month for rent, plus food, maybe another couple $100, $600-700 there to live for 2 months in America. Would have cost like
dude.
$1,500. I was able to get this round trip ticket for $800. This is back in 2000 or something, and so I got the $800. And then when I was there, I lived there for 2 months off $200. It's like 10 cents. I was living in the mountains, and like camping and stuff, and,
Amazing.
and I did have some friends there that I was staying with a little bit for free, and so yeah, so I was actually saved money by traveling there and then coming back, not having an apartment, and coming back, and then having an apartment set up for when I came back. So like if you timed it, you could actually travel for cheaper. Of course, not if you're living rent free, that wouldn't necessarily be true. Rent or mortgage free. If you have to be paying rent or mortgage when you're here, then you wouldn't be saving money. But if you were in a
Right.
situation, but like
But
food
this
is
is the
cheaper too.
upside of globalization.
Yeah.
We hear so much negative about that, but this is the amazing. Who doesn't want to be world class? It's amazing that more of us are able to do that.
Yeah, and I think in this time I could meet other people who also have something like that. Like in 16 years from now, I feel that I'll have like a self-sustaining land that I can invite people to come. It's not like I'm not
This is the
charging
new
people to
normal.
come. I just want I actually need to lure people here. I want people to come to me. I would love to just have, this conversation in person is even one step
Yeah,
better than
yeah,
right now. It's cool. It's cool to have live conversation with somebody, but it's even more to be like in thing. And then of course they can help out, gathering food, picking food or oranges and cutting some stuff, take part in living here. But it would be and I think there could be lots of people doing those things. Just kind of set out a little compound and figure out the best time of year to travel and just open your land up. And I think I might find, so that's like calling out to the universe. I think by saying this, there might be other people that are
yeah.
doing it already, or I could spark interest into somebody that has a little plot of land and thinks like, well, I could do that. I could open it up for, one portion of the year, and there'll be some people that open up their land for it, and other people will be the ones that bounce around, and then I can learn from them because they'll have been bouncing around. I'm probably not going to be a one that bounce around. I rather actually be the hoster. So it seems like there's a community for both the people that would really get a kick out of. I've done a lot of world traveling. I'm pretty satisfied, and to tell you the truth, that I that when that COVID shit hit, like there were people like me, foreigners in Thailand with wives, children, and they were happened to be outside of the borders when shit went down, and they weren't allowed back in. Their family was. Thai people were allowed back in. A lot of countries kind of shut down. So if there were a war, pandemic, or something, I don't have guaranteed reentry to Thailand, basically. So I'm actually, to tell you the truth, I
Okay.
might never leave Thailand again, unless I feel like the
Wow.
state of the world is is better, I feel like I could leave with my family and not be allowed back in with my family, and we'd have to make a decision.
There you go. And something that sounds like a fantasy may be a necessity as far as knowing other people that we could go over there or they could come over here type of situation at a
Yeah,
moment's notice.
yeah, yeah, no, yeah, and
Hey,
then yeah, 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 yeah.
I was just going to say, I just wanted to say before I forgot, I just wanted to try to promote that X community thing, which is brand new to me. And I'm
Yeah,
already
absolutely.
noticing a lot of technical difficulties as far as how it works on X. I feel good
Well,
about the concept,
okay,
but
good. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Actually, I definitely do want to talk about that, and I will put a link in, some on my post or and hashtag or whatever. But yeah, yeah, yeah. Good. Let's tell me a little bit about that. I have listened to some, but go from the beginning for anybody listening. That
well,
yeah,
uh, when I get off of here tonight, I mean, I'm going to be, see there's a cop with a mag light looking for something. I used to deliver papers here, and the guy that did it with you got stabbed right in this alleyway that he's going down.
yeah. Wow, nice.
Interesting, right? Uh, so, okay, it's called Truth Seeking Alt Media Digest, and it's
Yeah,
the takeoff of Reader's Digest, right? And so I'm gonna, you know, demonstrate that's what's good for me. This is good for accountability stuff. Uh, yeah, so you already do shorts
yeah.
of your
I
own
mean,
show.
I heard you like. Yeah,
That's,
I think it's important for people to do their own clips, and you mentioned that. I
yeah.
remember hearing you say that
Well,
sounds.
how do you feel as a consumer of this media? Because number one, it's just simply being an info addict. I mean, this is digital drugs, a lot, aspect, but meaning I find it harder and harder to find the next show that I want to watch because back in the day the
Yeah,
algorithms worked better. We could just okay.
yeah,
So I think there's a need there, and so I have this community, and then I have some idea about having these two channels. One of them is of the shorts that lead you to the show, like ads, and
yeah,
then the other one would be where we get a consensus from all of us, so that it actually becomes an asset that we value, that we co-create, and decide what content we think is the best and why. And then, of course, I have this idea, I remember learning about, the Rockefellers and how they took over the education system and all that jazz. But I'm like, no, wait a minute. That maybe it is true. And that's total communist propaganda, all this kind of stuff. But just the textbook, the way I remember it, you read a chapter, and at the, that crappy thing where like you be in class and the teacher never actually follows the textbook.
uh-huh.
It's already got this whole beautiful design to it. And one of those is that after you read the chapter, it asks you to put it into your own words. What does
Yeah,
this really mean to you?
yeah,
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, now go out there in the real world and try to apply it.
yeah,
So that I think would be amazing is
yeah,
if we could get the technology, the psychology from the sales world where you push a button and buy a product, but it's like, no, go meet somebody in the real world and that kind of a thing.
absolutely, yeah,
So does that make sense? The basic idea
yeah, yeah. No,
I'm
no,
explaining there.
it does, and I like it. That's because I I'm a consumer of information. I'd say I spend to me I'm more of a I want to be more of a creator. So yeah, I want to be a more content creator, but you have to be both, of course, because but I do want to digest. So it's perfect because I do digest is a perfect term to use it. Because I am digesting information, but I'm always, I'm filtering it through my perspective. So it's changed. The way I present it will be different, but I try to take what I'm getting from the information and then have conversations. And then sometimes I get a little thing. And aside from the podcast, I do like doing things with nature. And, I'm still learning. So I haven't gone real hard on like organic farming and planting. I'm not as knowledgeable as other people. So I watch a lot of their things and then I apply it. But sometimes I come up with a new little trick and I'll mention it and post it. So um I'm yeah, I like that. And then I know in the future there will be other people like me kind of starting so I can give them some tips on, problems that I had. That's sometimes the best way to learn are kind of hearing about people's
Right.
mistakes. Sometimes they go straight to the success and they kind of jump over all the mistakes they made. And then you're in that situation, you know what works, but then you still want to, you end up going through your own mistakes. So I think we can learn from each other's mistakes about things. And so what I'm doing right now is I'm just kind of like, I post things that I do. Like I've posted videos on how to do stuff, and it was actually probably not a very good way to do it. And then I'll come out and say, okay, actually I've changed my methods. I'm doing it this way now. So it might not be a good way to learn live, like to follow me live, but in the future, then you'll kind of be able to, I'll be able to actually maybe take clips of what I did wrong. I'll be able to compile some good, I think by posting everything I'm doing live as I'm doing it, right or wrong, good or bad information, in the future, I think I'll be able to go back out and really create some good content and kind of tell a story. Right now I'm not at that point because I'm still early in my journey, I guess.
Well, please just do me a favor and feel free to give me any kind of constructive criticism as far as making this community something that's valuable to people other than myself.
Yeah.
Uh, uh, One of the other ideas is you can compile the best of the best, and I want TV again. I don't want to flip
Yeah.
and look for stuff. I just want one channel and it shows the best of the internet. Because
Yeah.
even though there's all these zillions of shows, how much of it really is, important to you? Number of people. Let's see.
Yeah, that is hard. That's a hard. I mean, I guess so it would be community
I just feel
decided. I
that
mean,
mean
of
that
votes or
yeah,
yeah, how do we
yeah.
decide?
I,
Yeah.
I want to mobilize the community. I know there's got to be other people like myself that are like, I don't want to have a podcast. That's a big deal to
Hmm.
do that. Now, maybe, not that I don't do some little daily content, and maybe that is something I can work into my routine. And I understand if you're doing a podcast, you're going to be focusing on what other people are doing. And I think I would probably be more suited to like a man in the field. Okay, this person's an expert locally, and I go interview them and learn from them. That
Yeah.
be, and I don't know if this is true, but I sure buy into this. I only heard this not that many years ago, but I guess my birthday is the last day of Pisces. And the idea of Pisces is that it incorporates characteristics of all the other signs. And I sure feel that my behavior is something that I constantly feel like I'm some alien from outer space and everybody else understands everything. And that can make me feel uh, unconfident, but then it can also, make me good at acting or these different things that I just, you know, uh, take to it, like martial arts, those kind of active kind of things and stuff. So just, and I've seen some other part in there about me being good at like a second in command kind of role, where somebody else has this established thing like podcasting, but I could facilitate that. I think there's a lot of, I see it like the podcasters are like a landmark or a lighthouse, and there needs to be some other visionary model for what about, because I really see this as like a replacement for government. I
Yeah.
mean, they're called influencers and all that kind of stuff, and I mean, so I just like the idea of all of us just activating more and being that's why I like Daniel again on the end of days. This is interactive, and drawing people up on that stage.
Yeah. No, that's interesting. Replacement for government. I mean, yeah, go tell me more about that. Like I do kind of see how just because we're able to mobilize on a like across
Okay,
fields
well,
almost. Is that
I'll get even deeper. Something I thought when I went to my kind of conspiracy mindset and looking at the Freemasons. Let's start with a basic idea. You've probably heard of this. Hey, it's dumb to get caught up in left versus right because they're both controlled by the same people.
Mhm.
Whether you want to call that organized crime or whether you want to call that the richest people in the world, these professional people that are masters at knowing how to manage humanity, have been doing it since like ancient Persia.
Yeah.
Okay, so then you get like Shakespeare, right? The whole world's a stage, right? So see the impact that when the printing press came out, you had Shakespeare, and then you had everybody got the Bible for the first time, right? And then now we got the internet. So my point is that as evil as these people are that are that negative force of physical power on this planet, they could kill us all if they want to, I assume. I
Yeah.
can't imagine that there's any. Yeah. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, and I don't feel like they want to. I don't feel like that's
Right.
the game
Right.
game. I don't feel that's the objective. Yeah.
Right. They have. Yeah. So I think that all of this is an elaborate stage play of life, but that doesn't mean it's fake. But
Mhm.
that's just
Oh wait, we're cutting out.
through the
Oh
experience of it. Can you hear me?
no, yeah, it cut out for a
That
second. So yeah.
okay. Uh, so as far as back to why I think that us talking on the internet and me trying to organize our alt media community is a replacement for government is because we're shifting into this world where it's going to be more and more chaotic and people are going to have to make up their own minds. And so that just shifts us towards the people like us that are natural leaders, that are finding these other natural leaders that are kind of like kings and queens of their courts. You know, Jason Brashears has an amazing community. Like he's teaching all those people to be real scholars. They help him research.
uh,
They're doing something. Then Robert Phoenix is another guy that I like. He does astrology, but then he's also big into sports and pop culture. He has a daily astro weather show. It focuses on a celebrity and how they match the astrology. But he has an event. He has, you know, you see these people like yourself that are these natural community leaders. And I guess I'm kind of like that, but from the outside. I'm like trying to share this idea to all these different people. And my only thing is, hey, we need to cooperate. I'm just more synergistic working on that. That's
yeah,
not so much my idea. I don't care. I just care that we, you know, move this forward as far as, I mean, it really, it's to me, it's just like I was saying earlier. Like if we're just skill sharing, you know, and helping each other solve what is my problem today? You know, somebody in the group's going to know how to make money, like you were talking with John in that one episode. And it's like, okay, you got to figure out how to get this money for you to come over here.
yeah,
So I just like the idea that we could somehow, you know, take these ideas in our head and I could figure out with the help of other people to visualize kind of a map of this idea of this replacement for government. And I'm assuming that that's these Freemasons that run all of YouTube and all of this stuff. This is obviously just like how they did America. This is what that is now. We're the founding fathers of the next deal. Just whoever, because in the mystery schools, I heard that while on the one hand it's this intense process to get in and all this, it's actually open to anybody. You know, just like whether you're teaching martial arts or something academic, they really care about, do you really care to learn this? That's what gives you, yeah, as opposed to there being a controlled structured class system in
yeah,
politics and all.
yeah,
Anyway, I don't know if I'm rambling or not making sense. That's just my basic
yeah.
concept that we should take this more seriously and get away from the infotainment and start figuring out, okay, what's my personal assessment, my benefit, what do I need, what do I have, and you know, this kind of co-developing protocol for this. Yeah, what are we going to do together? Because I think we're, like I said, I feel like I think we agreed earlier that people are drifting away from, you know, let's watch Alex Jones and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, absolutely. And I think, yeah, no, I mean, yeah, no, I'm definitely kind of looking for that, and I think it is a lot of people are, and I guess, I mean, just the precaution. Yeah, just I mean, how do we prevent it from? I mean, how do we
How do you stop the
maintain the
cultish and the
integrity?
corruption that we have?
Yeah. How do you just
Yeah,
maintain that
yeah,
integrity? I mean, it almost always. I mean, I don't want to say
yeah.
like it
There's
always
no
has to
perfect thing,
change,
and
but yeah, it can't stay stagnant. Though it has to be. It has to always be active. Like, I don't know if you can structure something and then it over time it's just gonna be corroded. It's like it's hard to.
Well, I think that it's co-creation. We're not
Yeah,
creating it. None of this is new.
yeah,
It's just a recognition that this is the pattern. Like you're looking at, is the crypto going to go up? These kind of assessments that we have to make. And I think it's logical. We're at a magical place where you could be really big picture, but there's some real need and practicality to this level of organizing becoming the new normal.
yeah, yeah,
Because I assume that the chaos of everything will go up, crank up and up. And I unfortunately see that, this negatives that run in with law enforcement. But yeah, I mean, we do need those negative reinforcements to get us to grow. And, yeah, me choosing to not smoke weed for a while was probably a good idea for me to experiment with.
yeah,
But,
yeah. So
so
yeah,
no,
going back back.
I'm not looking for utopia. I'm seeing this crazy idea somehow being practical.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. And I think it I mean, I think it's, I like it. Uh but so, yeah, no, just to clear up that, so that incident, yeah, I kind of conflated the two, but the incident with your friend that you, or your roommate that you held up against the wall, that was years ago. So that actually, when those police
Right.
came and said that there's a fight, it wasn't you. You were just happened to be in the
No,
wrong
no,
place
no.
at the time.
That's two different
Those are two
things.
different
Yeah.
things. So
No,
the fact that you
right.
had
I have
weed on
no
you,
criminal history. I don't get
yeah.
violent with anybody.
So
I leave. If I were to get upset, I would just walk away, like I
yeah,
have done many times.
yeah.
Leaving a
So that,
job.
so yeah, they didn't have. So you could, now I see how you saying that they shouldn't have. So it's not legal there. I know it's legal and all. It wasn't legal when I left California, but now I guess it is. I guess it's completely legal. I don't know how different states are different now with the legal.
They've got medicinal here. I've stood out in the street and petitioned for that many a time, and I don't want to purchase a license because you lose your ability to have a firearm. It's a comedy
Oh,
scheme.
really? Wow, that's interesting. Yeah, yeah, that is okay.
That was why I went that route. But yeah, that's about all I can really think to say as far as the idea of focusing on the cooperative, focusing on the audience,
Yeah,
voluntarily self-organizing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. No, yeah, for sure. I think, yeah, I think we've got something. I mean, we'll continue, and yeah, if when I'm sure our meeting and talking will spawn other people. I mean, in some ways, somebody else, random person, could come across this. So yeah, before we go, I want you to give me just whatever comes to mind. Give me a hashtag. Give me something. I like, this is a active version of law of attraction. Go ahead, give me the word I'm gonna vibrate to the.
Do I have a goal? It's just whatever freedom of association, what's on my mind, or
Yeah, yeah,
what are we doing
yeah,
here?
yeah, 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 yeah.
Okay.
Just give me a word or a phrase that I
I'm
can.
good at freestyling and stuff like that. I just got to be clear on what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, yeah. I basically,
Uh,
yeah, I'm gonna put a hashtag on the. I'll put several hashtags on the
oh,
podcast
for this.
for this podcast. When I post it,
Yes.
I'm gonna put a hashtag on
Yes.
it. But give me something that comes to mind that, like, we
Okay,
want to
we're
call
doing
somebody
it. We're
out
doing
to
it.
join.
We're cooperating and we're doing what I'm saying. I got to figure out how to take this and move it forward.
Sure.
Okay, here's words I think of. Just name them off. Cooperation, co-creation.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I just see the negative is the infotainment, and the positive would be, I don't know what you call that. I say activism, but I don't mean political or anything. I just mean like,
Yeah.
because I hate the daily. These sex workers are constantly hitting you up. You don't know if they're bots or whatever, and it's like I don't want to be talking to somebody far away in fantasy land.
Yeah.
Uh, in real life, IRL. Uh, you know, I just, I'm asking you, I mean, have you had the experience where when you do try to go out locally to meet people that you're like, oh, well, the whole world has changed so much that it's like hard to find anybody that you want to be around or hard to find that place. I mean, you have something like MMA or something like that that is this established culture that works. But intentional community,
No, no. Well, I mean, I've been. I mean, we're kind of hermits out here. Yeah, we don't. I don't really. Yeah, I don't actually. I mean, every once in a while, I go into the city where there is tourists, and I might strike up a conversation with a traveler, and then they're kind of interested that I live here. Oh, well, that's kind of the only connection I have with outside of my family. And then my neighbors, some of the farmers that come and farm. So yeah, we're kind of hermits. So it's partly on my fault. But it probably is also the state of the world. Uh, it is harder to
I
communicate.
feel, you know how they have Meetup? You've heard of that app,
Uh-uh.
that site?
No.
Okay, well, so that is this thing where if you want to meet people where you share an interest, like maybe you like to go running, whatever,
Uh,
right? And you have to pay money to be the manager of the group. Well, I have hosted one of those groups. I had a terrible experience back in 2012, back when I still was into Alex Jones and all that. And Ron Paul was running for president. I can tell you why that was a negative briefly. So, yeah, I was, it was like an InfoWars local group. So I was, we've already got this established concept. Here's the local people that are interested. Let's get together. And there
okay.
was about 12 of them there. And I had about 12 ideas on a piece of paper. They had no interest in any of my ideas, and none of them had any ideas. One of them goes, hey, the Ron Paul campaign's meeting across the street at the library. Let's go over there. So I'm like, I don't really want to do that, but I do want us to do something. So okay, let's go over there. And we go over there, and the woman, we met the woman that was running that campaign, because they promoted Ron Paul on Infowars at the time, and so we
Okay.
figured that would be a good fit.
Yeah.
But they're like, she goes, Dr. Paul told us not to allow any Infowars people to participate. And we were like, what the fuck? And of course,
Yeah.
they're all Masons, all that stuff's total controlled opposition, Rockefeller scammer, if you ask me. But so that was a difficult experience
Yeah.
trying to lead it.
Yeah.
Or like the other day, there I have a bowling alley, Professor Ball, that's very cool. They have a retrocade downstairs, and I might meet my friend Colin there a couple times a month or something. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna go try to meet more people in the real world. Go to the bar and sit there, and there's some old white couple to my right, and there's some white dude to my left about my age, and gets talking, and he's big into hiking, and I'm like, he's been everywhere. Like, he knows he's showing me all these pictures. And I'm like, well, dude, like, yeah, let's go hiking, because that's really hard to find somebody that has the time and the desire to do that. So we go hiking, and we go to the shelter. And then the dude's bisexual. And it's all hitting on me and all this shit. And I'm like, God fucking damn it. Jesus Christ. So I'm saying that I think that you're going to have to use these communication tools to filter through people in your own freaking town to get together. And for people like me that are not connected, I know there's got to be more and more people that don't have that family life that you have. And
Yeah.
we're gonna we're gonna need some help to move in the right direction. And that's what's cool about those bear people. I really like their thing they got going. They're Christian, they're family oriented, but they're super loose. It's not uncomfortable at all.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's yeah, yeah. Um,
Well, that was all I could do as far as brainstorming hashtags, but I
oh
certainly
no,
like
no, I
that
got it. I already got
idea.
cooperation. co-creation. I also put actionism. I changed it from activism to actionism.
There you go.
We might coin
I
a new
like that.
word. So that's
Or
and
we could reuse the Activision. That was
Activision.
the game company. That was
Oh
the
yeah.
game company from the 80s. Yeah.
Oh okay. Oh wow.
I
Activision.
like yours. I like yours. I
Um.
like yours.
Yeah. No. I mean. Yeah.
Actionism.
Actionism, and that kind of goes on to that action, proactive law of attraction, or still trying to get the right phrase for that law of attraction, but active participant in law of attraction.
I like where you're going with that.
You know,
I get the vibe.
yeah, yeah.
Modifying that.
I mean, we can do. I mean, I do believe in calling out to the universe. I mean, but not like literally actually doing it because we have
Well,
technology to
let
do
me
it.
let me let me say it like this and get your reaction. Okay, now we know that being codependent is bad,
Hmm.
right? I can't do this and I depend on what this other person is doing.
Yeah.
But I am really excited about the synergy that can happen when we do co-create and cooperate with other people.
Yeah.
And in the network, internet world, I remember hearing that phrase ad hoc networking, like when we cook to Wi-Fi,
Uh-huh.
you know what I mean? And I just think logically that this is a new form of community. I mean, it's kind of dumb because it's like, yeah, we all know this. This is the whole internet as it is. But, sometimes when you realize something, it does. I like your show name, Mental Breakthrough. I mean, you are, that is interesting to me. Maybe, like you were saying, yeah, I have this title of a psychologist, but I think you do that very naturally.
Do what?
Uh, I think you do that very naturally. Here's another way to say it. Do you ever think about how many people I wouldn't use BetterHelp or I've gone to like three therapists in my life. It seemed like a total waste of time. And then today everything's so political, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these people could be like communist police, and then the other people are as cool as you. So I just think it's interesting that that fits in so flawlessly with your show. It's like
Yeah.
people would never go get therapy, but they talk to you like this, and it's so similar.
Yeah, no, it is. It's funny. Yeah, when I first did the show, I actually called it the mental breakdown at first, but that has a negative connotation. I mean, I liked it because there was a
Right.
double entendre with breakdown as in like analyze. But then I was like, but then as I
Ah,
started talking to people, I felt like, no, this isn't a place to break down. This is a place to break through. So I did change the name. Luckily, the initials were the same, so I just kind of changed it. But if you go back to some of the original ones, it actually is called the mental breakdown. But I definitely like the mental breakthrough better. Um, yeah, and that was it. Yeah, it
you're a
was
good
kind of natural.
cooperator.
Yeah, yeah, it is. It did. Yeah, I love psychology. I did it as a my bachelor's degree was in philosophy, and then I did my MMA career for 10 years and ended up in Thailand because Thailand has the Muay Thai and I was fighting and I love Thailand so much. And I was kind of getting old, my physically to compete. I'm kind of like, all right, I think I've done
That's a group
enough.
that I want to find. I want to find a local martial arts group.
Yeah, it is. Martial arts is definitely that is a good place to I mean some of my like I said, I've got childhood friends, I've got my martial art friends, I've got my English teaching friends, but something with martial arts is and I did it in like wrestling in high school. We always say like blood, sweat, and tears kind of together that you get to see who people really are. We say like fatigue makes a bitch out of everyone. And it's good to see people at their worst to kind of see who they are. And martial arts definitely allows that to make it's definitely a good way to make deep connections and kind of see who's real and stuff. You're able to kind of see inside somebody. It's kind of a
I have two experiences similar to that. I just want to say the names of them. One of them is a little bit working in restaurants. You know how it's so high energy, stressful, but awesome
stress,
for you
yeah,
and you feel like
stress,
you're in
yeah.
the military.
Yeah, that
And
makes
then working on these independent like film production and acting, it's so amazing. Like you get these people that would never talk to each other outside of that, but when you have that common goal,
Yeah.
boom. I mean,
Yeah.
so that's what I'm trying to really
Yeah. Yeah.
generate is
That's
find the
true.
people that will come up and
Yeah. That actually that I think that kind of adds on to this community is we do need a place that kind of like you said. I mean, not saying weed out the homosexuals or anything, but I mean, people with alternative motives that aren't, I mean, I'm completely cool
just
if you
your
want to be
people.
gay and stuff,
Just
but have yeah, if that was if that's the reason we're here, I mean, let's if we can lay out the goals and it should attract those people with those goals and 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 you can kind of when you are working towards something you are able to see who somebody is
you
and
saying that triggered something in me to add on what you're saying. The visual model is that if we want to get away from cults, that's
uh-huh.
a triangle. One master's at the top.
Yeah.
That's the male energy. That's the paternalism.
Mhm.
Okay, so I'm just suggesting that we add the circle to the triangle. The circle is where everybody's
Yeah.
equal,
Yeah.
but they have to put their idea together, to relate with each other in order to determine the course of action. So that would be balanced.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that. I like that. I think that um that has to mean something though. Circle with a triangle in it. I feel like that's a martial arts.
Yeah, that's the
I
circle.
actually, yeah,
The
it
circle.
is.
Yeah, the circle's the female energy of the
Okay.
egg or the relation. I heard in the medieval times there's a guy named Seven Bomar, I think his name, and he talks about the tarot and the whole like king. That part of the tarot was that's how you would teach a king to be a king, to learn all the different archetypes and to speak to these different groups of people and stuff. So I'm just seeing that you are balancing the male energy with the goddess energy.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Certainly, it's martial arts
Yeah.
symbology.
Yeah. No, I think when I was a kid, I did martial arts. I think our emblem was a circle with a triangle in it, and there were three things there. It might have a different meaning, but it I just kind of drew that when you said that. I was like, wow, that reminded me of uh
That's another thought I have was
Joe.
that how there was the Freemasons and all that stuff was secret societies. Now that stuff is the normal public stuff. So it's like us publicly putting together these societies.
Yeah, yeah, that is yeah, open society or transparent society almost. Yeah, I guess yeah, that is a big part is transparency, it's faults and everything, out in the open. Um and yeah, the when there is an objective, yeah, don't make it a hidden objective, if there is, if somebody's purpose is to promote something that might be slightly off topic, but if you're going to come forward and be honest about it and we can see, okay, well, maybe we can work together and promote your thing on your own. That's not necessarily part of what we're doing, but that there's still some
Yes.
sort of intersection where, okay, we can still benefit from each
Yes.
other. That's the main thing is like me and you too. I mean, I'm sure we've got different goals. That's why I just see, I see there's definitely a big, like a Venn diagram.
Overlap.
There's definitely an overlap where, that you're going to do
That's
your
a
own thing. I'm going to do my own thing, but there's something that we're both doing that can definitely benefit each other. So I think, and then I think that's kind of the community too, is it's almost like, yeah, a whole bunch of circles together, and then there's some
amen.
in the middle that we all can share, and but we're not like obligated to serve that purpose as like some beacon of yeah, again, yeah, like yeah, I definitely want to stay out of that
We're
occultism type
not the leaders. We're
mentality.
co-operators.
Yeah, yeah, and then when you see somebody doing something, and you can offer some help for their cause, even if it's not, uh, but there's no obligation, uh, to make sure everybody's successful in every way, but we can definitely there's a support network and yeah, I guess transparency and honesty comes out of that. It's just it's good to know what people's objectives are, what they're trying to do. And that's why I like saying it. Kind of, I give these ideas of my goals to have in time, and I think it's good to hear people's goals because I think when you hear their goals, sometimes their goals may align with yours, and oh wow, you're trying to do that, I'm trying to do this. There's a certain, yeah, find out where the overlaps are, and we can only do that when you're just upfront, honest, and then yeah, I don't know, going with that, but yeah.
Well, I feel very satisfied. And I think that this is maybe what one way to put it is that as long as you and I are satisfied, you know, we're not performing for, yes, other people are watching this and all that jazz, but that's all that matters is that one-on-one growth. You know, I've got no Colin. He's been nice enough to listen to stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I
yeah,
can feel as long as I keep going down this road every day, and it's gonna happen.
sure, yeah, yeah, no, yeah, yeah, that's perfect. Yeah, and then the yeah, cool, no, that's good. So I guess we'll you want to wrap it up there? Any last things? We'll
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm super good, and
yeah,
I've enjoyed this very much,
yeah.
Dr. CD. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Yeah, thank you. And yeah, we'll yeah, keep building. We'll find out. Let's see what comes of it. All right. Have a good one. Enjoy your evening. It's
All
my
right, thank
morning
you.
kind of, so I'll be enjoying my day, but see you later. Good night.
Okay, good night.
Bye.